After midnight, the elevator in my apartment building starts acting strange. During the day, it's normal, slow, annoying, smells faintly of metal and old perfume. It only services floors 1 through 12. Everyone knows that. The buttons even stop at 12. No basement, no secret levels. But at exactly 12:17 a.m., things change. The first time it happened, I thought I was tired. I was coming home late from work, half asleep, scrolling my phone while the elevator doors slid shut. I pressed 7. The doors closed with their usual groan, and the elevator began to rise. Then it stopped. The display flickered. Instead of a number, it showed a single dash. The doors opened. I expected to see the familiar dim hallway of floor 3 or 4. Instead, there was nothing. Just darkness. Thick, heavy darkness, like the hallway hadn't finished loading yet. No lights, no walls, just an endless black space that swallowed the glow from inside the elevator. Before I could react, someone stepped in. A man, tall, wearing an old-fashioned suit, like something from decades ago. His shoes made no sound on the elevator floor. His face was pale, too pale, and his eyes never blinked. He didn't look at me. He pressed a button that didn't exist. The doors closed. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. I opened my mouth to ask him what floor he wanted, but the elevator started moving down, not up. The air grew cold. I could see my breath. Then the man finally spoke. "Don't worry," he said calmly. "It only stops here at night." The elevator jolted to a halt. The display flashed a number I had never seen before. 13. The doors opened again, to that same impossible darkness. This time, the man stepped out. Before the doors closed, he turned his head slightly toward me and smiled. "You'll get off next time." The doors slammed shut. The elevator shot back up to floor 7 like nothing had happened. The next morning, I asked the building manager about it. His face went stiff when I mentioned the number. "There is no floor 13, he said quickly, "and the elevator's locked after midnight." That was 3 nights ago. Last night, I stayed awake. At 12:17 a.m., I heard the elevator ding in the hallway outside my apartment. Once, then twice. And then, footsteps stopping right in front of my door. The elevator's waiting for me now, and I didn't press any buttons. I stood inside my apartment long after the knocking stopped. I don't know how much time passed. My legs felt numb, like they no longer belonged to me. The hallway light outside my door flickered through the peephole, stretching shadows that moved even when nothing else did. I didn't open the door. I didn't breathe. At 12:24 a.m., the elevator ding sounded again. Not the cheerful daytime chime. This one was low, dull, like metal being struck underwater. Then I heard it roll back down the shaft. Only after the sound faded did my lungs remember how to work. I slept with a chair jammed under the door handle. When morning came, sunlight felt fake, too bright, too warm, like a lie my eyes were telling my brain. I stepped into the hallway slowly, half expecting the darkness from the night before to still be there. The hallway looked normal, too normal, except for one thing. Mounted beside my door, screwed directly into the concrete wall, was a small rectangular plaque, rusted at the edges, older than the building itself. It read, 13. I touched it. The metal was ice cold. I pulled my hand back like I'd been burned. I went straight to the building manager. He was an older man named Curtis who always smelled like stale coffee and cigarettes. When I told him about the elevator stopping, his smile slipped just for a second, barely noticeable, but enough. "There is no floor 13, he said quickly. "I know," I replied. "So why is my apartment marked as 1? His eyes flicked toward the hallway cameras, then back to me. "You're on 7, he said. "Always have been." "Then show me the footage." That's when he sighed. The security room was cold and windowless. The monitors hummed softly, showing every hallway, stairwell, and entrance in the building. Curtis rewound the footage to the previous night. 12:15 a.m. The elevator doors closed on the ground floor. No one inside. 12:16 a.m. The elevator ascended past floors 1 through 12. 12:17 a.m. The number display flickered, then vanished. The doors opened. Every hallway camera blinked to static, except one. Mine. My hallway appeared on the screen, but it was wrong. The walls were longer, the ceiling higher, the lights dimmer, like they were being slowly strangled by the dark. The floor number sign at the end of the hall no longer read 7, it read 13. Then the man stepped out. He was clearer on camera than I remembered. Tall, thin. His suit hung on him like it had been tailored for someone who'd lost too much weight. His face looked unfinished, smooth in places where age should have left marks. He didn't walk at first. He stood in the doorway of the elevator, breathing in the hallway like he missed it. Then he walked straight to my door, stopped, waited, for 2 minutes and 47 seconds. He raised his hand and knocked, 3 times. Then he leaned forward and pressed his forehead gently against my door. His lips moved. The audio feed stayed silent, but I felt it in my chest, like a memory instead of a sound. Next time you get off. The elevator doors reopened behind him. The hallway lights dimmed further. And then, this is the part that made Curtis turn away, the man smiled. Not at the camera, at me. I didn't go back to my apartment that night. I stayed with a friend across town. I unplugged my phone, turned it face down, told myself distance mattered, told myself buildings can't follow you. At 12:17 a.m., my phone vibrated anyway. The screen lit up. A system notification from the building app. Elevator arriving. Floor 13, then another. Passenger verified, then a final message. Resident overdue. My phone went dark. From somewhere far away, I heard an elevator chime. Slow, patient. And suddenly I understood something I hadn't before. The elevator wasn't malfunctioning, it was keeping schedule. I went back to the building the next morning. I don't know why. Fear should have kept me away, but something else pulled harder. Curiosity mixed with a sick sense of responsibility. Like leaving would make things worse. Like the building would notice. The lobby looked the same. Same cracked tiles. Same flickering fluorescent lights. Same elevator doors standing innocently at the end of the hall. Curtis wasn't at the front desk. I called his name. No answer. The security office door was open. Inside, every monitor was black, not off. Black, except one. My hallway. The camera showed my door clearly now. No distortion, no stretching walls, just my apartment entrance and the plaque beside it. 13. I stepped closer to the screen. The timestamp in the corner read 12:17 a.m., but it was morning. The time didn't move. The footage didn't move. Then slowly, the plaque on the wall began to change. The number 13 scratched itself deeper, like invisible hands were carving it again and again. Each scrape echoed faintly through the room, metal against stone. I stumbled back. That's when I noticed the list taped to the wall beside the monitors. Yellowed paper, handwritten. At the top, in shaky ink, night passengers. Underneath were names, dozens of them. Some crossed out, some circled. One name at the bottom, written darker than the rest, mine. I found Curtis in the stairwell. He was sitting on the steps between floors 6 and 7, head in his hands. He looked smaller than before, older, like the building had been feeding on him too. You came back, he said without looking up. You knew, I said, about floor 13. He nodded slowly. It's not a floor, he said. Not really. Then what is it? He finally looked at me. It's a place the building remembers. Curtis told me the truth. The building was built over something old, something unfinished. During construction, workers started disappearing, falling down shafts that weren't on the blueprints, wandering into stairwells that led nowhere. Every time someone vanished, the plans were revised, floors renumbered, the missing erased. They skipped 13 to make people feel safe, but the building never forgot. At night, Curtis said, the elevator runs its real route. Why me? I asked. He swallowed. Because you noticed. That night, I didn't run. I waited. At 12:16 a.m., I stood in the lobby, staring at the elevator doors. My reflection in the metal looked wrong. Dim, delayed, like it didn't trust me. 12:17 a.m. The doors opened. Inside, the elevator was bigger. The walls stretched back farther than they should. The buttons were unfamiliar, numbers scratched instead of printed. Some had names beside them instead of floors. The man was already inside. He smiled when he saw me. "You're late," he said. "I didn't press anything," I whispered. "You don't have to anymore." The doors closed. The elevator began to descend. The air thickened, heavy. Breathing felt like pushing through water. "Who are you?" I asked. He looked at the buttons fondly. "I was a resident," he said. "Just like you. 7th floor, night shift, came home tired." My stomach twisted. I never got off. The display flickered. 13. The doors opened onto a hallway that felt familiar in the worst way. It was every version of my hallway layered together. Old paint beneath new, lights half installed, doors that led to apartments that never existed. And people. They stood along the walls, silent, watching. Every face looked tired, hollow, like they'd been waiting a very long time. "You take my place," the man said gently. "That's how it works." "No," I said, backing up. He tilted his head. "Someone always gets on." The elevator dinged behind me, patient, hungry. I realized then why the plaque appeared on my door, why my name was on the list. Floor 13 wasn't below the building, it was inside it. I don't know how I escaped. I remember running. I remember the scream of metal. I remember daylight burning my eyes. They say I moved out the next day. They say my apartment was reassigned. They say there is no floor 13. But sometimes, after midnight, I hear an elevator ding outside my new place. And when I check my phone, there's always the same notification waiting. Passenger overdue. Because the building doesn't lose residents. It just waits for them to come home. I told myself I was free. New apartment, new building, new city. Everything clean, modern, well lit. No flickering bulbs, no creaking floors, no elevators that smelled like rust and old perfume. I took the stairs for the first week anyway. Old habits, but nothing happened. No midnight dings, no notifications, no shadows stretching where they shouldn't. I started sleeping again. Started believing Curtis had been right about one thing, not noticing was safety. Then the dreams started. In the dreams, I was always standing in a hallway. Not my old one, not my new one. A hallway that felt unfinished. Walls half-painted, doors without numbers, light fixtures humming like they were struggling to stay awake. At the far end stood the elevator. Doors open, waiting. No matter how far I walked, I never got closer. Every time I woke up at the same moment. 12:17 a.m. 2 weeks after I moved in, a new tenant arrived. I noticed him because he looked exhausted in a way sleep couldn't fix. Dark circles under his eyes. That hollow, distant stare of someone who listens too closely at night. We crossed paths in the lobby. "Elevator's fast here," he said casually. "Almost too fast." My stomach dropped. I forced a smile. "Yeah, guess we're lucky." He nodded, hesitated, then added, "Does yours ever stop?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That night, I broke my rule. I rode the elevator, just once. It was 11:58 p.m. Safe time, normal time. I pressed 4. The doors closed smoothly. Soft music played overhead. Everything behaved exactly as it should. The doors opened. 4th floor, normal hallway. Relief washed through me so hard my knees nearly buckled. As the doors slid shut again, I noticed something etched faintly above the control panel. Almost worn away. 13. The next night my phone buzzed. A notification from an app I didn't install. Building services elevator maintenance scheduled. 12:17 a.m. I stared at the screen, deleted the app, turned off my phone. It buzzed anyway. I started paying attention again. That was my mistake. At night, the elevator in my new building moved when no one called it. I heard the cables shift inside the walls, heard the low, dull chime echo softly through the halls. Once I pressed my ear to my apartment door. I heard footsteps outside, stopping, waiting. I found the new tenant sitting on the stairs one evening, just like Curtis used to. He looked up when he saw me. "You hear it too, right?" he asked. I sat beside him. Yeah, I said quietly. Do you know what floor it is? He whispered. I closed my eyes. Don't ask that. At 12:17 a.m., the elevator doors opened on their own. I was standing in the hallway. I don't remember deciding to leave my apartment. I don't remember walking there. I only remember the feeling that if I didn't go now, something worse would happen. Inside the elevator, the lights were dimmer than usual. The buttons had changed, no numbers, only names. I saw Curtis's, crossed out. I saw the man in the suit, crossed out, and at the very bottom. Mine, not crossed out. Yet. The new tenant stepped in beside me. I didn't press anything, he whispered. I know, I said. The doors closed. The elevator began to descend. The hallway of floor 13 welcomed us like an old habit. More people stood there now. Some I recognized from my old building. Some I didn't. All of them watching, waiting. The man in the suit stepped forward from the crowd. You came back, he said to me, smiling. I looked at the new tenant, at his shaking hands, at the way he leaned slightly toward the elevator doors like he still believed they might open again. And I understood the worst truth of all. Escape was never the goal. Replacement was. The man leaned closer to me and whispered, You don't get off twice. The elevator dinged. Behind us, someone new stepped in. The doors closed behind us with a sound like a tomb sealing shut. The new tenant stood frozen beside me, breathing too fast, eyes darting from face to face. The people lining the hallway didn't move. They never did. They only watched, like witnesses to a ritual they'd seen 1,000 times. The man in the suit raised his hand. The hallway lights dimmed further. It's simple, he said calmly. Someone leaves, someone stays. The new tenant grabbed my sleeve. You said you'd heard this before. You know what this is. I did. That was the curse of it. Floor 13 doesn't trap people who are unaware. It traps people who understand. The man gestured toward the elevator. It will take one of you back, he said. Home, bed, daylight, forgetting. And the other? The tenant asked. The man smiled sadly. Maintenance. The hallway hummed, the building listening. I looked at the doors along the corridor. Each one had a name scratched into the metal instead of a number. Some were deep and dark with age, some barely visible. None of them ever opened. This place is hungry, I said quietly. The man nodded. And it only eats what notices it. The tenant shook his head. No, that's not fair. Nothing here is, I said. The elevator dinged, once, a soft reminder. The man in the suit stepped back, clearing the path. The choice was mine. I had escaped once. That was the mistake. You don't outrun places like this. You only postpone your usefulness. I turned to the tenant. I need you to listen, I said. When the doors open upstairs, don't talk about this. Don't think about it. If you ever hear the elevator at night, move. New building. No questions. He stared at me, realization flooding his face. You're staying, he whispered. I nodded. Someone always does. I stepped forward. The hallway breathed. The doors to the elevator opened behind me, just wide enough for one person to leave. The tenant backed away, sobbing, as the elevator pulled him in. Before the doors closed, he looked at me one last time. I'm sorry, Winoshakum, he said. Don't be, I replied. Just forget. The doors shut. The elevator rose. The sound faded. The hallway changed. The lights steadied. The people relaxed, just a little. The man in the suit approached me and placed a hand on my shoulder. Welcome, he said. My name scratched itself into the nearest door. Deep, permanent. Now I wait. At 12:17 a.m., the elevator arrives. It always does. Sometimes it brings someone who pretends not to see us. Sometimes it brings someone who already knows. When the doors open, I smile gently. I tell them the same thing every time. Don't worry, I say. It only stops here at night. And someone always gets on.